Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and we are back with more of the U.S. Constitution. Today we will be starting Article 2. Again, I'm just reading this from my American Constitutional Law book. But we are starting Article 2. We already covered Article 1, which deals with the legislative branch of the U.S. government. Article 2 covered the executive branch, which is the president, his cabinets, and a lot of the other offices beneath him. But Article 2, Section 1. We're only going to cover Section 1 today because there's only four sections in Article 2, but Section 1 of Article 2 is a doozy. So let's go ahead and do this. Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 1. The executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 2. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for two persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves, and they shall make a list of all persons voted for and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the vote shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the President. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if there are more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. And if no person has a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states. The representation from each state having one vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and the majority of all states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. But there should remain two or more who have equal votes. The Senate shall choose from them by ballot the vice president. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Paragraph 1 is just saying the power to execute laws passed by Congress is vested in the president. He shall hold office for 4 years with a vice president chosen for the same term. Now, paragraph 2. This is where there's so much to unpack here. What we have to remember is early in America's history, the president was voted for, but the vice president was also voted for. Now, to be fair, unlike Congress, the people's votes don't directly elect the president and vice president. So, in the beginning, like I was mentioning earlier, the vice president used to be elected and then the president, but now it's a running mate. They run together. So it's kind of changed that operation a bit. But in paragraph 2, each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. So, each state has so many representatives and 2 senators. The total number of that is how many electors that state gets. But those senators and representatives cannot be electors themselves. Again, remember, I said the American votes do not directly elect the president like they do members of Congress. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. So essentially, the president and vice president, as it was originally chosen, one of them couldn't be from the same state the elector was from. So, say you're from North Carolina as an elector, you could pick one person from North Carolina, but you had to pick someone from another state. For your second pick, because again, they were also voting for vice president. Now, again, it's a running mate thing. Um, and they shall make a list of the persons voted for and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. So these electors for the state, they shall have this after they make their choices, who they want to vote for as the two people. All persons that were chosen, even if they only get one vote, put on the list, and the number of votes each person gets is put on this list. That state then sends that list to the Senate, the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. So, these votes that are by each state brought in, all of Congress shall observe the President of the Senate perform this action, counting these votes. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the president, if such number be a majority of the whole number of the electors appointed, and if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. And if no person have a majority, then from the five highest on the list, the said house shall in like manner choose the president. So, say if two people are tied with a majority of the votes, they shall be voted on by the House of Representatives by ballot. If not, then the five biggest percentages shall be put on a list and voted from them by ballot. So yeah. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having one vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. Um, so if the U.S. House did have to choose the president, the votes will be taken by the states, and then that state's representation having one vote. Essentially, there'd be 13 people want one vote representing each state. But yeah, um, where was a quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. So, either it's all 13 or at least 2/3 of the states. Um, which would be what, 5, 4, 4, 9 and 13, yeah, 5, 4, 4. So it'd be 9 states to be 2/3. And then, even then, you have to have a majority of those 9 states, which would be 5. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. So after the president's chosen, the person with the next most votes is the vice president. But of course, nowadays, running mates, we don't do it this way anymore. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, then the Senate shall choose them by ballot the vice president. So after the president's chosen, if there's still 2 or more with equal votes for vice president, the Senate makes the choice then. But of course, a lot of this doesn't follow how we fully elect presidents anymore. But this is what was written down in the Constitution, Article 2, Sections 1 and 2. But let's go ahead to the next section, Article 2, Section 3. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. So, setting an election day. Article 2, Section 4. No person except a natural born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. So, terms and qualifications set down to become president. You must be at least 35 years of age and have been a U.S. resident for 14 years. It says no person except a natural born citizen, so someone born here automatically, or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution. Which, of course, at the time you had a lot of people having come in from other countries because we were still just a colony up until that point. Well, we had been in our own nation for 13 years, 1776 to 89, somewhere around there, I think, because the Constitution was in 1789, and I think it was around 13 years. Anyway, it's just not disqualifying those who, though not born in the United States, had lived here for decades. So they're eligible as well. Because again, we had a lot of immigrants. So, but yeah, those are the qualifications to run. Article 2, Section 5. In case of the removal of the president from office or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve onto the vice president, and the Congress may by law provide for the case of removal, death, resignation, or inability both of the president and vice president, declaring what officer shall then act as president, and such officer shall act accordingly until the disability be removed, or a president shall be elected. So, what is done in the case of the president no longer able to serve? Saying if he can't, then everything transfers to the vice president because he's next in line. We do develop a line of succession. I don't know if that's later. Line of succession for president. There we go. Line of succession for president. I know the actual line is president, vice president, speaker of the house. And I can't remember beyond that, but yeah. President pro tempore of the Senate, and then cabinet secretaries, depending on eligibility. That's what it says here. Presidential Succession Act, federal statute establishing the presidential line of succession. So that's the Presidential Succession Act is what actually set who is chosen in line, which was adopted in 1947, it says here. But yeah, that's what that's covering. Article 2, Section 6. The President shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall neither be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall have been elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. So it's saying President shall receive pay. Let's see. It cannot be raised or lowered while he is in while that president is in office. So even though there's a president in office, say they want to raise or lower the pay, you can do that, but it won't affect the current president in office. It'll affect the next one chosen and those beyond. So, and he shall not receive any other gifts or payments from the U.S. or the states. So, yeah. And I think this is the last section, or last paragraph of this section. Article 2, Section 7. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, which the oath of office. So it's saying the president has to take that when he becomes president. And so that's one of the big things when a newly elected president first enters office. On that day, he takes the oath of the office, and he puts his hands, most of them, on a Bible. I'm sure others have had other books or whatever, but they raise your right hand and they have the Chief Justice have him repeat after me. And that's the oath they have to take. But yeah. That is section 1 of Article 2. There's only 3 more sections. They're not near as long. I'll probably do all 3 of them in one video, but I will have links in the description listed below. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, later.